Hi, folks. It's Rob Harper, the conservative black cowboy on Twitter. Haven't been with you for quite some time. I've just been observing what's taking place in the media and the world as a whole. And I thought that now would be a good time for me to check in, do a little temperature check, and see what you guys are thinking, but definitely give you my insight on what's happening right now in the media. One of the things that I want to talk about is the whole Iran US issue. If you remember, some time ago, Iran allegedly shot down our drone that was over international waters. Of course, they were saying that it was in their airspace. It was interesting to me how the media and the Democrats were tentatively waiting to see what Donald Trump's response would be. It was almost as if though they wanted him to attack Iran over the drone being taken down. Now, I am no fan of Iran, and what they did to me is completely wrong. But if you recall, during the election cycle, many on the left said that Donald Trump would have us in a war, World War III, and that the world would end. So it's equally interesting that he did not give them what they wanted when they thought on last week that he was going to launch an attack on Iran. Had he done so, I think that he would have been within his rights to do it. But we're talking about Donald Trump, a measured leader who looked at the situation and made the determination it's not worth it. Why would I attack them for, or allegedly, as they said, downing our drone? Granted, the drone was worth millions of dollars. But Donald Trump, a businessman, saw through all of the rhetoric, the war hawks, and said, no, we're not going to do that. I'm going to wait. Let's play the waiting game. I'm going to give them an opportunity to change direction, to change courses, and maybe change the course for their country as a whole. Needless to say, the Democrats and the media were not happy about that. They wanted Donald Trump to attack so that they could say the next day, he got us in a war. And we would be hearing that right now. They would be talking about it. We're in a war. He attacked Iran. How could he? Now they're going to retaliate. And it would have been going on and on and on. But he outfoxed them. He didn't do it. Now, granted, he said, I still can, but I'm going to slap sanctions on them. I'm going to make it even harder for Iran. I am going to break their backs in essence. Again, the media does not like this. They want him to launch an all-out attack so that they can say, oh no, look at where we are now. Now, I find it, I wonder why our allies aren't out supporting us and saying, Iran, what you did was wrong. It's almost as if though they too want Trump to go to war. Many of our allies don't like Donald Trump because he's changing the lay of the land. Case in point, Germany. Germany should be getting oil from the US, not from Russia. We have the largest oil reserve. Why aren't they buying their oil from us? The same with other countries, buying oil from Russia or from Iran. And then we, the United States, we have to protect them when the oil is being transferred from Russia or Iran to these other countries. Why are we doing that? They should be protecting their own oil. What are we getting out of it? We're getting absolutely nothing. And this is one of Trump's beefs. This is one of the things that he keeps talking about, saying, hey, folks, look at this. This is crazy. For years, we've been protecting these countries, and they haven't given us anything. And then when it's time for them to stand up with us against our enemies, they're few and far between. They're almost fighting against us or pushing against us that, no, you can't do this and you can't do that. I mean, we are the world's largest superpower. And if we see fit to go in and say, hey, you're screwing up. We should be able to go in and clean house and then leave. But instead, what do? We keep giving these countries money. That leads me to my next point, the border. Now there's an uproar about the unsanitary conditions that the children are being put in these the holding cells as they come across the border. For one, who told you to come? Remember, you were told that America is a racist country. Why would you want to bring your family to a racist country? Why wouldn't you want to stay in your own country? The country that it seems you guys are saying is a perfect place to live. If that is the case, why are you coming here? Donald Trump was right when he said these countries are, I don't want to say the word, but S-hole countries. Because if they weren't, these people wouldn't be coming across the border. And if they're going to come across the border, they start looking for us to help them out. They want us to feed them and to clothe them. We can barely clothe our own people. Why don't these liberals who want these people to come across so bad, why don't they go out and take up a collection and give it to these individuals and say, hey, we'll build shelters for you. But instead, who do they want to do it? The government. My next point, wanting the government to take care of illegal aliens. The same government that they want to take care of health care. If the government can't take care of these illegal aliens, how the heck do you think they can monitor health care? It's impossible. It's crazy. Our government can't go around taking care of the whole world and get nothing in return. But liberals don't see it that way. As long as you're spending other people's money, they're okay with it. Think of all of the rich millionaires and billionaires in Hollywood and around the United States. And many of them are liberals. Do you see them reaching into their pockets to help these illegal aliens? Do you see Oprah Winfrey building schools at the border? No. You don't see this. Do you see Steven Spielberg? Do you see Alyssa Milano or Cher or Bette Midler getting their friends together and say, hey, let's donate and let's help these kids out? No, you don't see them doing it. Who do they want to do it? You, the taxpayer. They expect your tax dollars to go out and help these people who are crossing our border illegally. Now, it is wrong to house these kids in places that are inhumane. They should have a toothbrush, they should have soap, and they should have water. But we can only do so much. Things will slip through the cracks. But if our representatives, our liberal brethren, would go ahead and give Trump money for the border wall or to fund care for these individuals, we wouldn't be in this situation. Trump has been saying for quite some time, there's a crisis at the border. What did the media say? No, there isn't. It's manufactured. It's manufactured. As early as January, Nancy Pelosi, Fancy Nancy, was saying the same thing. It's manufactured. Now that we see that it isn't manufactured, now the media is saying, finally, the New York Times and the Washington Post, they're now saying, hey, there is a crisis. Well, heck, Barack Obama's, one of his guys, the Homeland Security Secretary, Jay Johnson, said the same thing. There's a crisis at the border, but no one was listening to him. Why? Because Donald Trump was saying it. Donald Trump had a plan to correct it. Let's go back a little farther. 2008 rather. Barack Obama said he blamed Bush for allowing illegal aliens to come across the border. 2008 also, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, they were both debating each other and saying that they would stop the crossing of illegal aliens. Way before then, Bill Clinton, in a State of the Union address, talked about illegal aliens coming here. Folks, what changed? Liberals, what changed? I'll tell you what changed. Donald Trump changed it. because he now sees the problem and he wants to do something about it. Liberals don't want to fix things. They want to create situations. They want to create situations so that people will become dependent upon them. And then they can't get away. There's a saying that says, if you give me a fish, I eat for a day. Teach me to fish, and I'll eat a lifetime. Democrats don't want to give you, they don't want to teach you how to fish. They want to give you the fish so that they can keep coming back to you saying, hey, you owe me, you owe me. You're dependent upon me. My next point, reparations. Black people, they are pandering to you. There will never be reparations, okay? They will talk about it. They will say they will study it. But it's not going to happen. And why should it? Since slavery ended, we've had many programs put in place to help Black people. Some of the programs granted weren't good programs, social programs like welfare that somehow got Blacks hooked on them and they couldn't get off. Slaved to the system. These are government programs. They don't work. Reparations. Before a Black person gets reparations, Elizabeth Warren will probably go back to, oh, she's a 1/4% Black or half Black. There will be a lot of other people saying that they're Black. It is not going to happen. They're pandering to you. Speaking of Elizabeth Warren, she was even saying that we should go back and give gay people reparations. For what? How many people do we want the government to go back and give money to? This is a free society. Get up, get after it. That might sound cruel, but you can do it. The only thing I ask of this country is to give me the opportunity. Allow me to do it. Most of the individuals with jobs that would give you the opportunity are liberals, and they're the ones that are holding Black people back. Have you ever noticed how a conservative will give you a job and say, hey, do a good job. That's it. They walk away. Whereas a liberal will give you a job and then they're constantly checking in on you, reminding you that they gave you that job and that they want something back in return. It's time to wake up. Stop allowing these people to use these code words like reparations and you thinking that is going to help you. They only want it for the vote. Now, the next thing will be reparations for the illegal aliens because they were housed in these cells or these camps to be taken care of, and it wasn't fair. And then they were traumatized. Well, who caused them to be traumatized? Liberals. Why liberals? Because they refused to give Donald Trump the funding which is necessary to build the wall, to take care of these individuals. Again, when you look at it, it is always liberals at the root of all the problems that we have. So I say to you, when they come to you with these key words or catchphrasey words, reparations, and we're going to do this, turn them out, turn them away, and say, no, no, thank you. You don't have to like Donald Trump. Yes, he's probably crude. Yes, he's probably direct. Yes, he's in your face. But I would prefer that to some politician who's talking eloquently and doing absolutely nothing. What did Barack Obama do for us? Okay, some say, well, he kept the country from going into a recession. Well, I kind of believe that the country did dip into a recession. But, of course, they don't want to talk about that. But let's just give him that. Even Steven, he kept things from completely tanking. But what else did he do? He gave us Obamacare. He said you can keep your doctor. We know that you can't keep your doctor. What did he do for Black people besides telling them, pick your pants up, you need to do this? Under Barack Obama, there was more racial animosity than any other president, I would say, since Jim Crow. A Black president. Think about it. There were more Blacks killed at the hands of police officers under Barack Obama. And under Barack Obama, we had 2 Black attorney generals. The top law enforcement agencies, or agents. What the heck was going on? And then a lot of those incidents whereby they said police killed blacks and they had an investigation, it turned out that they were wrong. These are all things that liberals play up to black people to get so that they'll become emotional, fearful, and then run toward the Democratic Party. And it is the Democrat Party that's in fact imprisoning them. It is the Democratic Party that's causing all of the harm. My next point, Pete Buttigieg. What's happening with this guy in Indiana? The mayor deciding to run for president. Why is he ahead of Kamala Harris and Cory Booker? They're black or people of color, as far as Kamala is concerned, because she's not African American. She's Jamaican American because her dad happens to be Jamaican, and I think her mom is Jamaican, but she's not African American. I just want to get that out there. But that being said, why aren't they ahead of Pete Buttigieg? And they're in the Democrat Party, the party of identity politics. Why aren't they out front? Why aren't they out front of Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, who thought at one point that she was an Indian, and Bernie Sanders? Why are the blacks that are running for president not at the top? Why isn't a woman at the top? This is what Democrats keep preaching. They say that they want a woman at the top. They're tired of the men. They want a person of color because white people have run things way too long, especially white men whom they consider as being a white privileged white man. Why aren't these two, Kamala Harris, and Cory Booker, why aren't they out front in the Democrat Party? People say, well, black people feel more comfortable with Joe Biden because they know him. Really? Well, do you know some of the things that he said in the past about black people? In the 80s and the 70s, he didn't want segregation of the buses. In the 80s, he said that he feared for his wife, his daughter, and his parents because you had young black men running the streets. Now, we could say that that was the way it was. That was the atmosphere in the early 80s, late 70s. But still, he said it. And now, all at once, the media has anointed him as a person to be Trump. But what about Kamala Harris and Cory Booker? Granted, I wouldn't vote for them. I don't think Cory Booker is ready for the top spot, nor do I think Kamala Harris, Miss Giggly, is ready for the top spot. But because Democrats are the party of identity politics, you would think that they would have these two individuals out front, but they're not. Who's out front? Two old white men and an old white woman who's confused with her identity. What's happening? Can someone tell me? But yet still Democrats are telling us that they're the party, that we should vote for them. Why? Why do blacks continue to stay on the Democrat slave plantation, a plantation, that mentality plantation, that Democrats are the only ones that could do anything for us? What have they done so far? Even with the black president, what did he do? Going back to reparations, why didn't Barack Obama push reparations? Because he didn't believe in it. He said that, hey, we should do some other form of payment for blacks, but not reparations. Also, why didn't Barack Obama pass a second step program for blacks who were in jail, in prison, instead of building more prisons? Why didn't he do it? Why didn't he work with, let's say, a Kim Kardashian to try to turn around our prison system? Why didn't he do it? He got gay marriage pushed through. Why didn't he do that for blacks or black and brown people? Now, granted, the prison reform, it won't only just help black people, it'll help white people, red people, all people. But a majority of the people in prison are blacks. And the media talks about it and let it just roll off their tongue, and then they move on to something different. They refuse to give Donald Trump credit that what he has done will impact black people. Because a lot of black people have relatives who are in prison. Why aren't they talking about that more so? Why aren't they talking about the low unemployment in the black community? Why? Why aren't they talking about the great economy? This is the best economy we've had in decades. Unemployment is the best we've had in the past 50 years. The past 50 years whereby you've had, I think, 3 Democrat presidents. But Donald Trump got it to happen. With all the warning signs from the left and some never Trumpers that were saying the economy is going to tank, we're going to go to hell in a handbasket. It didn't happen. The economy is robust. Look at the stock market. Look at the S&P 500. Granted, it does take a dip every so often, but it bounces back. This never happened under Barack Obama, under Bill Clinton, under the 2 Bushes. It never happened. Why aren't people talking about it? Why isn't the liberal media talking about it? ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, all liberal. We have a halfway conservative station, Fox, number 1 in the ratings of a lot of their shows. They talk about it, but the others don't talk about it. They want to keep black people blind, just like June 10th. We just celebrated it. That's when the blacks were freed. But of course, many of the slave owners didn't want to tell them. Who were the slave owners? Democrats, refusing to tell the slaves that you're free. Why? Because they wanted to keep them on the plantation. The same thing is happening now. Democrats refuse to tell blacks that, hey, you're prospering under this Republican president. But instead, what do they say? He doesn't like you. He's a racist. If Donald Trump is a racist, he wouldn't have pushed through prison reform. If he's a racist, the unemployment in the black community wouldn't be at an all-time high. If he's a racist, he wouldn't even want to be near a black person. It's like sometimes you have to sit back and think. Don't believe the propaganda that's being pushed. We got propaganda on the news. We have propaganda on our college campuses. We have propaganda in the public school system. This is horrible. It is time for black people, all people, to wake up and realize that the media, unfortunately, some in the media are enemies of the truth. They're enemies of the people. Because you aren't able to prosper and get out there and see what's actually happening. You can't rely on these people to give you the truth. They won't. They haven't since election night, when they thought that Donald Trump was going to lose and lose big time. It didn't happen. And what are they telling us now? Joe Biden is beating Donald Trump in all the polls. Now, some people question the polls. Maybe it's true. But I'll say to you one thing. Remember what happened in 2016. They had him winning. They had Hillary Clinton winning. She lost. They went nuts. So I say to you, in conclusion, don't believe the liberal media.